atmosphere on Today with Jenna and Friends was buzzing when Kelly Clarkson took her seat on the couch, bright smile masking what producers already knew would be a tense segment. Jenna Bush Hager welcomed her warmly, but the tone quickly shifted, as co-hosts began steering the conversation toward Kelly's recent public struggles, her divorce, custody battle, and weight-related scrutiny that tabloids had feasted on. Kelly, initially composed, tried to deflect with humor, but the persistent questions grew sharper, the kind that dug beneath her carefully maintained public resilience. The audience sensed the shift, laughter turning to uneasy murmurs as Kelly's face tightened, the brightness fading into visible irritation. Jenna pressed with, "You've been through so much. How do you respond to critics who say you're personal? Battles have defined your career more than your music lately." The bluntness caught Kelly off guard. She leaned back, lips pursed, before responding sharply, "My music defines me, not tabloids, not gossip, and certainly not people who profit from my pain." Applause erupted from some parts of the audience, but the studio energy fractured. Others gasped at the sudden edge in her tone. Jenna's smile froze, clearly unsure if she should push forward or pull back, while her producers in the booth whispered frantically into her earpiece, trying to regain control. Jenna attempted a softer pivot, but her co-host unintentionally stoked the flames, adding, "But Kelly, don't you think sometimes your fans deserve more openness, more vulnerability about what really happened?" Kelly's jaw clenched as she stared at the co-host, her tone dropping into something colder. "My fans get vulnerability in my songs. They don't need a tabloid version of my heartbreak paraded for ratings." The audience erupted again, this time louder, some cheering her candor, others reacting to the raw tension thickening in the air. Jenna shifted uncomfortably, clearly sensing the moment slipping away from her. Kelly tried to steer the interview toward her new album, emphasizing the empowerment and growth woven into her lyrics, but the hosts circled back yet again, hinting at rumors about her strained relationships and behind-the-scenes challenges. At the Kelly Clarkson show, Kelly sighed audibly, setting her microphone down for a moment as the room fell silent. Then, with steely composure, she leaned in and said, "If this is supposed to be about my music, then let's do that. Otherwise, maybe I should go." The blunt threat shocked the studio, drawing gasps from the audience and making Jenna visibly flustered. Still, the producers in Jenna's ear pushed her to keep pressing, sensing the ratings gold of raw conflict. Jenna awkwardly asked, "Is it true you considered stepping away from daytime TV because of all this pressure?" That was the breaking point. Kelly's eyes flashed, and she shook her head with a bitter laugh. "I don't owe anyone here my life story. I came here for a conversation, not an ambush." She stood up abruptly, removing her microphone as the stunned audience erupted in shouts and claps. Jenna rose halfway from her seat, extending a hand to calm her, but Kelly was already moving off stage. The cameras caught every second as Kelly strode toward the backstage exit, her expression caught between fury and heartbreak. Jenna, left awkwardly on the couch, attempted to regain control by saying, "We'll be right back after this break," but the damage was already done. Viewers at home flooded social media with reactions before the commercial even aired, clips spreading like wildfire across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Fans overwhelmingly sided with Kelly, praising her for standing up to what they saw as unfair treatment. While critics accused the show of orchestrating drama for ratings, backstage, witnesses claimed Kelly had tears in her eyes but held her head high as she told her team, "I'm not playing their game, not today." Jenna, meanwhile, was seen in whispered urgent conversation with producers, visibly distressed over how quickly the interview had spiraled out of control. NBC executives reportedly began fielding calls within minutes, debating how to spin the fallout while bracing for the inevitable explosion online. By the afternoon, hashtags like #StandWithKelly and #JennaWentTooFar were trending worldwide. Fans flooded Kelly's latest Instagram post with supportive comments, while others began calling for Jenna to issue a public apology. Media outlets pounced, each spinning the walk-off differently. Some framed Kelly as a hero standing up against exploitative journalism, while others painted her as unprofessional for abandoning the interview. The polarization only amplified the story, keeping it alive on every major entertainment outlet. Jenna attempted damage control the following day, addressing the incident at the start of the show. She claimed she had nothing but respect for Kelly, and that the conversation had simply become too raw, too real in the moment. But critics didn't buy it, especially after leaked reports suggested producers had intentionally designed the segment to push Kelly to her limits. Rumors swirled that Kelly's team was already in discussions about banning her from returning to Today with Jenna and Friends. Unless a formal apology was issued, in the weeks that followed, the fallout continued to ripple across the entertainment industry. Kelly channeled the fire from that day into her performances, speaking openly at concerts about choosing yourself over being cornered. Clips of her storming off became iconic, replayed as symbols of defiance against media exploitation. For Jenna, however, the shadow of the clash lingered, raising uncomfortable questions about the fine line between journalism and spectacle. What was supposed to be just another lively celebrity interview had instead become a defining viral moment, with Kelly Clarkson walking away not as a defeated guest, but as a woman, unwilling to be caged by anyone. Not even live television. Kelly broke her silence 2 days later with a carefully worded Instagram Live that drew hundreds of thousands of viewers within minutes. Sitting in her home studio with no makeup and just a hoodie, she spoke directly to fans, saying, "I didn't walk off because I can't handle tough questions. I walked off because I won't let people decide my worth by dragging me through my pain on national TV." Her voice cracked slightly, but she smiled through it, clearly moved by the outpouring of support. Fans flooded the comments with hearts and words of encouragement, and within hours, headlines around the world declared Kelly had taken back her power. Jenna, on the other hand, faced growing backlash. Viewers accused her of insensitivity, and clips of her pressing Kelly trended under hashtags like #DoBetterJenna. In an attempt to recover, she invited a panel of women to discuss respecting boundaries in interviews, but critics saw it as performative damage control. Reports surfaced that her producers had encouraged her to dig deeper into Kelly's personal struggles, which made Jenna look less like a compassionate host and more like a willing accomplice to exploitation. Online petitions demanding she apologize to Kelly began circulating, quickly gathering tens of thousands of signatures. Meanwhile, rival talk shows seized the opportunity to weigh in. Sherry Shepherd praised Kelly on her program, saying, "Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away when you're being disrespected." Wendy Williams from her podcast bluntly called Jenna's handling a rookie mistake that might cost her credibility forever. Kelly's fanbase, fiercely loyal, amplified these sentiments, drowning Jenna's accounts in negative comments while creating fan edits of Kelly's walk-off set to empowering music. The incident had moved beyond a clash. It was now a cultural moment. Behind the scenes, NBC executives scrambled to contain the situation. Leaked emails suggested network higher-ups worried that Jenna's reputation could be permanently stained. If they didn't act swiftly, discussions reportedly included a private phone call between Jenna and Kelly, though insiders claimed Kelly refused, saying, "An apology shouldn't be whispered behind closed doors. If they're going to disrespect me in public, the apology should be just as public." This stance only endeared her more to fans, who hailed her as a figure of strength, adding fuel to the fire. Paparazzi caught Kelly outside a studio in Los Angeles, where a reporter shouted, "Kelly, will you ever return to Jenna's show?" Kelly smirked and responded, "I don't return to places that don't respect me." The clip went viral instantly, cementing her stance as final. Media outlets framed it as a clear declaration of war against the Today brand. While fans cheered her refusal to back down, Jenna attempted her own Instagram apology, posting a polished video where she admitted she could have handled the conversation differently, but fans slammed the effort as hollow, noting her lack of direct mention of Kelly's feelings. "This isn't accountability, this is PR," one viral comment read. Celebrities began quietly choosing sides. Kelly received public support from stars like Pink and Reba McEntire, while Jenna's defenders were noticeably fewer. Creating the impression of a lopsided feud, the fallout didn't stop there. Tabloids began digging into behind-the-scenes gossip from Today with Jenna and Friends, with former guests anonymously revealing they too had felt ambushed by tough questions that veered off topic. Some even suggested Kelly's walk-off had opened the floodgates, encouraging other celebrities to speak up about their negative experiences. Suddenly, Jenna wasn't just battling Kelly's fan, she was up a fewer, creating the impression of a lopsided feud.